Come have a seat and sip some tea. It's tech, entertainment, and art.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Tea Talk. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening. Today, we have a very special episode for you. We have our first listener request. And
I'm excited.
We listen. Yes, exciting. And you know how we do. We listen to our listeners. Our listeners listen to us, and then we go right ahead and listen to them. So it's a two-way communication street over here at Tea Talk Podcast. Yeah. So we'll get into that. We'll get into that later because she made a really interesting request that I think is gonna be really cool and interesting to talk about. But we have a question for her. Maybe she can help us. I don't know. I saw a question there on your notes. I don't know.
Oh yeah, do you want me to talk about that right now?
Yeah, go ahead and talk about that.
Okay, so it seems like we're getting most of our clients' questions through YouTube comments, which is great. Keep them coming. This question comes from Judy, and she was wondering, how do we pick what we talk about? We've discussed the format before on episodes, but basically, Abs, like as far as the format, how do you pick what you're going to talk about?
It works like this. It's more like a Jedi kyber crystal that they get to make their lightsaber. As legend has it, when a Jedi goes to that planet, I forgot the name of the planet, to pick up the kyber crystal to make their lightsaber, they don't actually choose the kyber crystal. The kyber crystal chooses them. So I let my topics choose me. I don't choose them.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's kind of how I, like, something will happen or I'll see something on the news, maybe sports or different other venues. I'm like, that's Tea Talk worthy. We'll talk about that. So that's kind of, it's just a free-flowing format. The format's not free-flowing, so to speak, but the concepts and ideas within the realm of technology, entertainment, and art are pretty free-flowing, I would say. Would you agree with that, Abs?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Okay.
And also, yeah, cool. Well, and where did you see that question from Yuri? I didn't actually see that one.
Yuri commented, it was on YouTube. This was probably like a few days ago. We got it in our email inbox, in T-Talk, and then ttalk@gmail.com.
Oh, you see, I'm such a noob, bro. I am such a noob. Because I definitely did not see that question. I'm gonna look into it. I'm even looking through the email right now, and I don't see it. But anyway, well, I guess I have some technical stuff to work on here. Anyway, moving on. So, because I did see that Yuri also wants us to talk about. She made a request. I guess that's a question that we just answered.
Oh right, and then the request.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your question, Yuri. Thank you for your question. I hope that answers your question. Actually, I'm gonna answer it a little bit more. I'm gonna add a little bit to it, because what I said earlier was half a joke. Half of it was a joke, and half of it was not a joke. But it's basically what Sean said. I'm gonna just reiterate that I don't. This show, it's a hobby, more than anything. So the amount of Sean and I are very busy people, and the amount of time that we have to write for the show, it's really limited. So mostly the show is about the things that we're already thinking about, things that we're doing, and we just talk about those things. We talk about the things that we're looking forward to, the things that are currently occupying our time, the things that we've done in the past 2 weeks or the past week, because we actually record weekly. Even though we put up our episodes every 2 weeks, we like to record weekly so that we have a library of episodes just in case a week goes by and we can't record. Then we have already a library of episodes that we can choose from. And that way our dear listeners don't have to miss out on our beautiful voices.
Exactly.
But yeah, so basically that's just kind of how it works. Anyway, so then Yuri also made a request, and we also said to our listeners that they can make requests for things for us to talk about, and she wants us to talk about strange Californian art, or as she put it, strange Cali art. So that's actually a because here in California we don't call California, we call it Cali. Okay, we don't have time. Ain't nobody got time to pronounce the whole name.
Can't say the whole thing.
No. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We'll talk about that on our next episode, Yuri. We'll talk about we'll look for strange Cali art. Maybe if the what is it, shelter in place order is not active anymore. Maybe I can actually go out and take some personal pictures and put them on the YouTube video. We'll see what we can do. Because I have seen we have some strange Cali art here in San Francisco. So
man, her question reminded me of a wedding me and Naomi did, and the wedding was at this like memorial place that was dedicated to this author. He's not originally from California, but his name's Henry Miller, and he's just a weird dude. His books are not family friendly, and the wedding venue was nice, and it was a really good video that turned out, but I'll be honest, like I was so creeped out with the with the stuff that was out there, without getting into too much detail.
I can imagine. I think you did tell me about this before one time we were hanging out.
They had a bride and groom. I'll give you they had a bride and groom, and like the dummies, like you go to a store and like they have like the model figures, and the groom and bride had like their stuff on, but they didn't have any heads. Their heads were like severed.
Wow, that's so creative. There's a message there. There's a message there. The message is that you don't need your heads for love. And I'm going to leave it there.
I'm not saying that could have been it. Yeah.
I'm not agreeing with that message.
That could have been
advertising that.
Yeah, no, you're just saying that's what it was.
Saying.
Yeah, we don't know. We're not endorsing anything on here except maybe some products, but this is
yeah. Okay, so I do have one correction. So on our previous episode, I was saying Wacom. Wacom this, Wacom that, like a total idiot. So, Sean, it's not Wacom, okay? You should have corrected me. It's Wacom. That's how it's pronounced.
And they're tablets.
Tablets.
Wacom tablets,
yeah.
Okay.
Wacom tablets, not Wacom tablets. What is this? I sound like Pac-Man, like Wacom, 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 Wacom. No. Not Wacom. It's Wacom tablets. So I just wanted to make that correction. My wife corrected me. As our audience probably well knows, I don't know how to speak English. I literally am just imitating English speaker sounds like a parrot. Parrots don't actually speak. They just imitate the sound of humans. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
I'm just imitating sounds. I don't actually know what anything of what I'm saying means.
Well, I had one correction too. Last episode, I talked about the Last Dance, which was a documentary on Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen's last year with the Bulls. And I mentioned that there was some drama between Isaiah Thomas, once again, and Michael Jordan, like there always is. I failed to mention, I think, who Isaiah Thomas was, like, why he was even important. He played with the Detroit Pistons. And prior to Michael Jordan on the scene, Isaiah Thomas was like the guy for the NBA. I mean, there was, Magic, and you had Larry Bird still in the league. But Isaiah Thomas was the one who kind of defeated.
I always knew there was magic involved in NBA. There's no way that people can be that tall and play the game that well. I always knew there was some kind of sorcery behind it.
Magic, that was his name. His name was Magic, but Magic Johnson.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Magic Johnson?
Yes.
Never heard of him.
Well, anyway, Isaiah Thomas was the guy on his team, their unit. They were called the Bad Boys, the Detroit Pistons, and they like played the game super dirty. People would come in the lane with a layup. They would punch him in the face. I mean, just like
that's how they do.
You could never play basketball that way in the NBA nowadays. But anyway, so I failed to mention what his background was, how he was even relevant to Michael Jordan's story. So anyway, that was my little correction on that.
Very good. Very good. That's a very good correction. Okay. I just drank a little bit of water there. I was parched. You see how I'm expanding my vocabulary here?
Yeah.
I hope that means what I think it means.
It is, but you didn't say it properly. That's okay. That's all good.
Okay. Hey, that's not what I do. Okay, that's not what
That'll
we
be a
do
correction.
in
That'll
this
be
podcast.
next episode's correction.
Next episode, I'll correct how to correctly say parched. Or
yeah,
whatever.
there you go. There you go. My throat
Okay,
is a little birched.
Yeah. Gotta quench the thirst. Okay. So moving on to the meat of the episode. What's on our minds? I'm gonna go ahead and start, if that's okay with you,
Please,
Sean.
yeah, please.
So what's on my mind is my beautiful Wacom One tablet that I recently acquired.
Ooh.
And I put pictures of it on my blog. Everybody, I now have a blog on my personal website, abdielmendez.com. You can go check my blog, and I have a little picture of it. And so today I'm gonna just give a short Abdiel review for this Wacom tablet, Wacom One, which is a relatively new model that Wacom. I said Wacom again like a total idiot. Like that Wacom released recently, and it's really cool. So, okay, are you ready for my review, Sean?
I'm excited. I can't wait to see it.
Okay, so I'm just gonna throw a whole bunch of specs to your face right now. Okay, so get ready to catch them all.
Okay.
It's a display Wacom One tablet. It has a display, meaning a lot of entry Wacom tablets don't have a display. They're just like a pad, a black pad that you sit on your desk and you write on it while you're looking at your computer monitor to know what the heck you're doing. This one has an actual display on it, so it's like a monitor that you can write on. And I know that a lot of people are used to that right now because of phones. Phones have smartphones, so you can buy like a little pen and draw on it and whatnot. But it hasn't actually been like that for tablets, for professional tablets that you use to draw on your computer. But these tablets with displays are becoming more and more affordable. Before, like I'm talking like 5 years ago, if you wanted to buy a Wacom with a display on it, you had to pay like almost $2,000.
Yeah.
And now,
didn't they have cheaper versions though? They had cheaper ones too, right? Or knockoffs.
Yeah. Well, there were knockoffs that were cheaper, but they were really bad in comparison to Wacom. If we're talking about 5 years ago, now the competition has gone pretty close to what Wacom can do. But I'm not going to talk about that because I'm not really prepared to talk in depth about the competition. So I'm just going to talk about the Wacom One. Okay, so it costs $400. It is the cheapest Wacom tablet with a display on it. It's 13.3 inch. The screen is the size of the screen is 13.3 inches. The pen that comes with the tablet has 4,000 levels of sensitivity. Why am I saying that? Because the only reason why I'm talking about the pen sensitivity, which it really doesn't matter at all, is because the competition will go ahead and say there are tablets out there by Huon or what was the other guys? Totally forgot. Anyway, so Huon, I think Huon right now is really the biggest competitor for Wacom, and they'll sell you a tablet with similar specs and for like $100 less or $50 less, and they'll have a pen, and their pen is 8,000 levels of sensitivity, a little bit over 8,000. So you're like, wow, twice as much sensitivity than the Wacom pen.
False.
Sure,
false
but that does. No, it's not false, but it doesn't matter. It's not gonna make it. It's not gonna make any real difference that you're gonna be able to notice at all.
Okay.
You would have to be like really state of the art concept artist to maybe notice that, but even then, probably not.
I would compare it like maybe to like pixels in a camera. Like people like, oh, this has 50 pixels. It's completely. That's right. You don't waste your money unless you're like blowing up your photos to like billboard status.
Absolutely, very good comparison there. Now the biggest down for the Wacom One, for you that are interested of buying a Wacom one, is that it is not laminated. It does not have a laminated display. What does that mean? Well, it means this. If you have a smartphone right now, like the iPhone 7, for example, or anything better than the iPhone 7, and probably even before that, but I know that the iPhone 7 definitely has it, they have laminated displays. All these phones have laminated displays, meaning that the screen that you touch and the screen that is actually displaying the image are not the same. They've never been the same. However, in these smartphones, they are very close together. So you don't really notice a difference between one screen and the other. Right? But with a tablet that doesn't have a laminated display, it means that the screen that you actually write on, it's very thick, and it creates a separation between the screen that is actually displaying what you're seeing. So what that means is that when you press down on your pen and you see your pen touching the screen, you will actually see the cursor, like I would say maybe 3 millimeters beneath the point of the pen, meaning that there's like some airspace. I've been trying. Does that make any sense to you, Sean? What I'm saying?
I can visualize it. I think so.
Yeah, because I was even looking at YouTube videos to see how people would describe this, and people don't even really
know how to
try and describe it.
Well,
so I actually didn't know exactly how it was until I actually bought the Wacom tablet. Then I realized exactly what they meant.
As you're talking, I'm thinking, like, correct me if I'm wrong, has there not been this kind of like, how would you say it, controversy in the art world versus, for many years, I would say probably the last 15 years or so, between classically drawn animation, and I'm thinking this is probably universal, between Disney, between Japanese animation, and electronically drawn. Is that true?
Yeah, there's a difference, but I think everyone prefers to. I think any artist would prefer to work on digital.
Really?
Yeah.
Even the older guys.
The older guys might not, just because of the learning curve of knowing how to use a PC. But it really has nothing to do with the actual drawing tool. It's just that they don't want to learn how to use the software or the PC.
Right?
It's not the actual tablet that's the problem. But yeah, so of course, so drawing on a piece of paper obviously is going to be more intuitive than drawing on a tablet. But the technology has advanced so far that, like for example, with an iPad Pro and the iPad Pen and the app Procreate, drawing on that thing is almost like drawing on paper. They've been able to mimic the how the experience. They've been able to recreate, I should say, the experience of drawing on paper with the iPad Pro, Procreate, and the iPad Pen. But that is one tool that you could use. So, but Procreate is not as, in my opinion, it's not as versatile as Photoshop. So a lot of people like to use Photoshop on their PCs with a Wacom tablet. So anyway, so this gap, this not laminated display creates this gap that creates something that they call in the industry parallax, which means that it's a little bit parallax means that when you're drawing, because there's a little bit of a airspace between where you're touching and where you're drawing, it can throw you off a little bit. But anyway, so moving on. That's one thing. Right?
And people don't like it. I'm sure, right?
Yeah, because you want it to be the experience as seamless as possible. That's why you're getting a display monitor in the first place, or a monitor with a display.
Okay.
I'm sorry, a tablet with a display, I should say. Obviously,
right.
Monitors have displays. So when it comes to color, it has a 72% NTCS color gamut, which translates to 100% sRGB. That's the range of color that the tablet can display, and it's it's also 180. How do you pronounce 1080 pixels?
Oh wow, okay.
The display image. It has CNET gave it some awards, so you can go see the CNET awards. You can just Google that Wacom won CNET award. CNET is a website that it's very respected, that reviews technical stuff, technology.
So this is well received then overall.
It is well received, yeah. So it has a very sturdy, slick design. One thing that I do when I get equipment like this is I actually like to put a little bit. I like to hold it with both of my hands, like you would hold a steering wheel, and I like to bend it a little bit to see if there's any sounds of like cracking of the plastic warping or whatever. I do it very slightly. I do it so that I don't break it.
I was just thinking. It sounds like as soon as I get it, I take it and I break it just to see how it breaks. But then don't break it
how
too
strong it is. But then I have to buy another one to actually test it. But no. So I just give it a slight little warp, and just to see the build quality of it. The quality is very good. It's very sturdy. It did not warp at all. It didn't make any sounds.
Okay.
It's like when you grab a sound. It's like the difference between a Samsung tablet and an iPad. An iPad, if you try to bend it, if you grab it, like if you do what I'm saying, the iPad will not bend. It is solid. But if a Samsung tablet, because it's all plastic, you'll hear all the plastic like sounding and all this stuff moving around. You'll hear like whatever. Anyway, so that's something that I like to check, because when the build is sturdy, that means that it's gonna last longer.
I do something similar with my fancy shoes, like my dress shoes. I'll go to the store and I'll scratch them, and then I'll see if they scratch or not.
I do too. I do that too, and I also bend them a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see. You can flip it. So the tablet has integrated stands. So in the back of it, it has like two legs that you can pop out, and it'll stand at an angle. That's very important, because you don't want a lot of tablets that have displays on it are just flat, and you lay them flat on your desk, but then you have to hunch over, because you actually have to see what you're drawing. You have to hunch over like you're using a piece of paper, and that's not very comfortable. It's definitely not ergonomic, and being in that position, in that posture for a long time is gonna definitely give you some back pain. So this has some already integrated stands or legs that you can flip, like I said, and stand it at an angle, and then you can it's like perfect. The height of it is perfect. Other tablets, you just have to buy a separate add-on to make it stand. But what's cool about those integrated stands, Sean, is that I was using the tablet. The tablet can also work as a second monitor, and I was using it like that for a long time, with the legs popped out and the tablet standing at an angle. But because the angle is good for drawing, but it's not really good for looking at a distance, because it's at an angle. It's not facing you straight in a 90 degree angle, which is what you want from a monitor, right?
Right.
But what my wife discovered actually is that because of the way that the legs are standing, is that you can actually flip the tablet upside down, and then the legs are perfect for the monitor to stand on a 90 degree angle. And then you go to the Windows 10 settings, the display settings, and you flip you select that monitor and you flip the image, and it just works perfectly. It works perfectly as a second monitor. So right now I have it like that. So that's awesome, because you can just flip the tablet, use it as a regular tablet on the normal way, standing normally how it's supposed to stand. But then when you're not drawing and you just want it to work as a second monitor, you flip it and it works perfectly. So I really like that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. It draws really straight lines. The pen draws really straight lines on the tablet, perfectly straight lines, and that's a big thing that might not mean a lot for people that don't use this kind of display tablets, but the fact that you can actually put a ruler on the display and draw a straight line, and the line is perfectly straight, there's a lot of tablets out there that are on the same range as this one that don't do that. There's a little bit of warping in the line.
I'm imagining like architect would probably really appreciate that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've really enjoyed the experience of using it. A tool like this doesn't make you a better artist. A tool like this will not make you draw better, but what it will do is that the skills that you already have, it would allow you to put them into work in a more intuitive way. But also because it's such a much more intuitive way to work on, to draw, it has affected the way that I work, to the point where I even hold the pen differently now. I used to hold the pen in a certain way before when I draw, and using this tablet over and over again, I've been practicing pretty much every day. I started holding the pen differently, and I draw better now because I hold the pen differently.
Okay.
But I don't think I would have discovered that using a regular tablet without a display on it. It's just that because the experience is so much more intuitive, I realized that holding the pen in a different way was a little bit better. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
And my drawing has improved to a degree. Like I said, just using the tablet from the get-go didn't make me just magically better. It's just, if a carpenter gets a better hammer, he's not going to be a better carpenter, right? So it's the same thing if you draw. If you get a better tool, you're not going to draw better. But because the experience is so much more intuitive, you'll be able to pick up some skills that you probably wouldn't have picked up otherwise.
Makes sense.
And yeah, I think that's it for my review. There was something that I wanted to say. I can't remember right now, but I know that there was another thing. That
I'm looking it up online right now, and it says it's $3.99, right? $399.99 at Best Buy, so about $400.
Yeah, that's right. So not a bad price. Not a bad price at all.
And it's tax deductible if you have your own animation company, right?
That's right. Yeah, and that's exactly right, bro. The one thing that I wanted to say, just a side note, the fact that it doesn't have a laminated display might turn some people off. In fact, when I realized that this tablet didn't have a laminated display, I had already bought it, and it actually turned me off a little bit. But the air gap it's pretty small, and it has not really, once I started using it, it really did not affect me at all. I don't even notice it anymore, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so all in all, I am really, really happy with the product. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. Very important. So installing the drivers and getting to actually use the tablet was completely seamless. It was really fast. I just hooked up the tablet, and I went on their website, and I downloaded the drivers, and it worked really easily. You will need a USB connector and a HDMI connector to get the tablet working. So your computer needs to have a HDMI input and a USB and a free USB to be able to use this machine. The HDMI is for the display, obviously. And the USB is for the pen functionality. Mm-hmm. So, for example, right now I have the HDMI connected, but I don't have the USB connected because I'm not using the pen. I'm just using the tablet as a display.
Oh, you're not even using the pen right now?
No, right now I'm not using the pen. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. The other thing, the one problem that I had though when I bought it was that I have a laptop, and my laptop has a HDMI micro. It doesn't have a regular HDMI input, but I already had a converter for that. So just keep that in mind. If you're using a tablet and it doesn't have an actual regular HDMI input, it might have an HDMI mini or an HDMI micro. Remember that you're going to have to get an adapter.
So it doesn't have the normal connections. Okay.
My laptop doesn't have the normal connection.
Oh, really?
But the Wacom one does. Yeah, because I have a really slick, small, compact laptop.
Oh, right.
So they don't have space for a full HDMI input.
Okay.
So they have the micro.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, that's my review.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you're highly recommending it, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I recommend it. People have to. I would recommend people out there go and do their own
research,
research. But I am really happy. I'm a very satisfied customer, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about on my end, if you're done, Abdiel.
Absolutely, yeah.
Jerry Stiller. Sad news. About 10 days ago, he passed away. So by the time you're hearing this podcast, it'll probably be about a month and a half since when he passed. Comedy legend. His son, you're probably very familiar with his son's work, Ben Stiller. Jerry Stiller, yeah. you would most likely recognize him from either King of Queens or Seinfeld.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
Did you? I mean, you watched Seinfeld growing up, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen Seinfeld probably like twice.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
And I remember watching King of Queens growing up with my parents, I knew he stood out. He was very, very funny. But his wife, but prior to his breakout roles in like in his later years, him and his wife had like a comedy act together, where they did live performances, which that boggles my mind. I mean, me and Abdiel are married. My wife is funny, and I enjoy listening to her and telling stories and stuff like that. But
Yeah, you better say that.
I can't imagine doing like a live performance with her. I mean, would you like? I mean, I guess I could if we were hosting a show, maybe. But actually going out and being like, "Hey, we're comedians together as a husband and wife," I think that would be challenging. It wouldn't be as easy doing it alone. Would you?
Yeah, I think so. But there's a few people that do that. The guy, well, not a few. I know one, and he's a very famous guy. The guy from Parks and Recreation that plays Ron Swanson.
Oh right, yes, him and his wife.
He does that. He does that with his wife. His wife's also funny. His wife is in the show. She's the librarian. She's the first Sammy. She's Sammy number
one.
But
their comedy, I think, is a little more like.
Yeah, it's more adult,
right?
Yeah, it's more for adult. I have not seen any of their. I know they have a podcast. Either, yeah. I haven't seen any of it. I haven't heard their podcast or anything, but I know that they do. They're comedians. They're a couple that are comedians. But anyway,
right. Well, it's funny because I was watching just to like get a little insight as to what they did. Obviously, they were doing their show before I was born. Their stand-up comedy, and it was pretty funny actually. One of their skits, they were like pretending to be the Chinese, not ambassador, but the Chinese, I guess, president and his wife, after having like eaten with like the President Nixon, and like they were, if you've ever had like a awkward dinner with another couple, like it really does strike a chord. Like the way they pick up on it, and like they're making fun of like the president who was then president, and different people. It was pretty funny. I could definitely see that working today, where like you're like coming back from a maybe an award show, and you had dinner with somebody, and it's like pretending to be like I don't know, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie or whoever, I don't know, but that was definitely pretty funny. And then Seinfeld. Now, if you're familiar with Seinfeld, he was originally offered the part, but he did not take it. Did you know this, Abdiel?
No, I did not know that.
If you go back and watch it, you'll see that George Costanza's father in the first season and a half is not Jerry Stiller. It's a different guy.
Mm.
So according to how Jerry Stiller tells it in an interview, he basically says he gets a call from what's that guy's name? David, Jerry Seinfeld's like co-creator of Seinfeld. I forgot his name. Anyway, he gets a call from the producers of Seinfeld and says, "Hey, it's just not really working out with this other guy. He's a good actor, but it's just not what we're looking for. It's not striking the chord that we want. So we originally wanted to hire you. Would you want to take the role again?" I said, "Okay." So he comes in, right? And man, it's gonna kill me. Who created Seinfeld? Now I gotta look it up. Who the David?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who created Seinfeld? I know it's Larry David. That's who it is. Larry David. Larry David says, "Hey, basically you're gonna be kind of like the opposite of your character's wife. She's gonna be really crazy, and if you've ever seen Seinfeld, she's always like yelling and screaming, and comes off really funny. And so he's like, you're gonna be flat, very flat. Just okay, all right, you got it, honey. All right." So he does it. He they do the scene, and coming from Jerry Stiller's mind of like on stage live comedy, he notices like nobody's laughing. Nobody's laughing on set. Nobody's like, and so they cut, right? So they, he's like, if I do it this way, I'm gonna get fired. So he tells Larry David, "Hey, I have a few ideas. Can I incorporate them?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So then they rolling action, right? It's filming. And she comes in, she's yelling at him again, and basically she's yelling at how they didn't raise George correctly, and how she basically like he enabled him and blah 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 blah. And she's yelling him about all this, and then he yells back. He's like, well, you coddled him and blah blah blah. And so he's just ranting, right? He's just going on this like little like, and the entire crew is laughing, and then they're like, whoa, okay. So Larry David comes back and says, okay, we'll work with that. Let's try to incorporate this. The guy who plays George Costanza then tells him, hey, hit me in the face. And Jerry Stiller's like, what? Hit you in the face? He goes, yeah, when you're yelling, just smack me, hit me and thump me in the forehead. He goes, okay. And it's a very famous Seinfeld scene if you've ever seen it. And so that was when George Costanza, as we know him, was created. I mean, and there's other roles and other things that Jerry Stiller's done throughout his years. He's worked with his son Ben Stiller in a few movies, but sad to hear. Our thoughts go out to the Stiller family. So
yeah. Whenever things like that happen, I feel like the world just becomes a little bit darker.
Yeah.
Because people like him that do comedy, that do sort of, I guess you can call it feel good comedy, right? You feel good afterwards.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that type of comedy. It's not raunchy. It's not necessarily making fun of anyone but themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that.
Yeah, very clean, very enjoyable. No political ideologies behind it or anything necessarily. Just
yeah, exactly.
Just enjoyable.
Yeah, and we're getting less and less of that type of comedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you up to, Abdiel?
What am I up to? So, I am up to two things. I am rewatching Fringe, because I felt like I really wanted to rewatch it. I actually started watching Twin Peaks because it's a legendary show and it's on Netflix. And I had to quit watching it on like the second episode of season 2. Because the suspense was just drawing me nuts. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to watch this. This is just too much. So I was like, I'm just not going to watch it. I'm going to go online and I'm going to read all about it. And the thing, it's an interesting concept. I'm going to tell them that's an interesting concept. I don't want to talk about Twin Peaks too much because I really don't know that much about it. But I like the idea that in the show, for if anyone's out there has watched that show, because I know it's a pretty famous show. I think a lot of people like it. From that show, inspired other more famous shows like The X-Files and Fringe.
It's an older show, right? Twin Peaks, or no?
Yeah, it came out in 1990.
Did they are they remaking it?
No, they released season 3 in 2017. I think Showtime released it. And David Lynch, which is the creator and one of the writers, was the director of it and the writer for it. And he got to sort of, quote unquote, finish the story more or less, even though apparently he wants to do a season 4.
Okay.
But yeah, what I like about David Lynch is that he created a concept, and the concept was, and this is just his ideology. The concept is that you can't, like, there's good and there's bad. There's sweet and there's bitter. And both of them help you appreciate the other. So in the very beginning of the show, for example, you have the main character who's a special agent from the FBI, drive into this town of Twin Peaks to solve a crime that just occurred. And he's talking about how much he loves a piece of pie that he had in that town. And then later on, he talks. He wants to stay at towards the end of the show. Actually, that's in the beginning of the show. Then towards the end of the show, I'm sorry, that's the beginning of the first episode. And then towards the end of the first episode, he asked one of the policemen from the sheriff actually from Twin Peaks that he wants to stay in a hotel, and that what he cares about, one of the things he cares about the most in a hotel is the coffee, and he likes to drink his coffee black. So you have pie, which is sweet, and then you have coffee in the beginning, and then at the end, the concept of coffee comes up, and it's really bitter. And then after that, throughout the show, there's even a moment where he actually grabs a donut and he grabs a cup of coffee, and he drinks from the cup of coffee first, and then he bites the donut, and then he just really enjoys the experience, and then he puts those things down. And you don't really get that until you watch the show. That just comes over and over and over again. And so it's interesting that he got that concept and he made a show that has really nothing to do with that. Seemingly has nothing to do with that. And he made it about this murder mystery. But that is the root concept. So I really like that. I really like the idea of taking like a root concept like that, philosophical concept, and then making and that's like the seed. And then you make a story that stems from that seed. And it's something completely different that people wouldn't even think about the seed anymore. But then once you realize that that's the seed, you're like, oh, I totally see it. Yeah. I don't know. I think that stuff like that makes, and in the case of David Lynch, you can really see that sort of idea throughout the show, I think, pretty vividly. But anyway, I went on a rant there.
No, it was interesting.
But so I watched a little bit of that. Like I said, I quit, and then because I have this like desire to watch a good show where there's also like stuff like multiple dimensions and sort of quantum mechanics and sort of strange things happening that are related to science fiction. Because that's what Twin Peaks is. Spoiler alert. I'm sorry if I spoiled that for you, but in the beginning that's not clear, but later on
it becomes clear.
It becomes clear. I actually, by the time that I quit, that wasn't clear either. But then I went online and I read the synopsis, and then they actually go into it, and I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, so I felt like watching that or experiencing that, and it's been so long since I watched Fringe that I actually do not remember almost anything at all. So I decided to start watching it, and I'm on season 1 right now, episode 5. And man, that show is so good. I really, really like it a lot. And I talked about it a little bit on Sweet Tea.
Yeah,
Sweet Tea, was it? Yeah.
It really has struck a chord with you and Tyler and Josh, and I just feel like I have to go back and watch it. But I'm trying to at this point cut out TV for me.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
it's too much.
Yeah, I just like it's too available, I guess, because I'm at home, working at home or whatever. And anywho, I diverted.
So you're talking about cut down, or like you don't want to watch TV anymore?
Oh no! I'm still watching some TV, but
do you mean you cut down on it?
Yes, yeah. So I'm picking up the guitar again, picking up the uke, and trying to just go for walks. We work out, but I think the walks have just helped with the mental space. Just trying to clear our heads.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I totally hear you. Yeah, I've been talking about that. I've actually been drawing again because I've always liked drawing, and it's been years since I actually started drawing on a daily basis, and I've been doing that again. And it's just a hobby. I'm not like drawing to like be a professional illustrator or anything like that, but it's just a nice skill to have. It's entertaining, and then you have something cool to show off after you've done it. Not necessarily to show off. I think that's the wrong wording.
Display.
But, there's something for you.
Tangible.
It's not even. Yeah, it's something tangible. It's not even for you to show other people and like, oh, look at me, how awesome I am. It's just like, oh, I did this. This is really cool.
Yeah.
It makes it helps you. It helps you with like you said, with just kind of like stress management and whatnot.
Yeah, very true.
Okay, so what are you doing?
All right. Well, I don't normally like endorse workout, and I'm not endorsing anything right now. We're not sponsored or anything, but about a month ago, my wife and I purchased a piece of workout equipment. Are you familiar with like sleds, Abdiel, in regards to working out?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, let me show you a picture here. Let me show you a little picture, and I'm gonna share it with you, and then maybe you could describe to the audience what you're seeing here.
Okay, I will.
Let me see. Let me make this bigger. Okay.
And there's a little bit of construction going on upstairs from where I live, so I hope that none of that goes through. But if it does, I apologize
Interesting. It's not letting me.
to our audience.
Let me see. Let me try one more thing here. Let me make this full screen. Okay. Zoom. Let me try this one more time. No. All right. Whatever. Well, it's
not working. The share screen's not working.
No, it is, but it won't appear. Maybe you can Google sled training.
I'll Google it.
Yeah, sled training for working out. And what you'll see is, or for weight training, sled for weight training.
Okay.
And you put weights on it. And,
okay, so I'm seeing it.
What are you seeing? Okay. Describe it.
So it's basically something similar to a snow sled, except that it has tubes connected to it, and those tubes are for putting weights there. And then a person is just like pushing the sled with all that weight on.
Yeah. So yeah. I was watching a YouTube video on working out, and a lot of those, I don't know. I've worked out for years. I've done different videotapes and all this stuff, and there's just different forms of people telling you the same thing about diet and exercise, right? And different workout routines. And so I was curious. This guy claimed he had worked with different actors, like Hugh Jackman and various other sources for their roles. And these roles in particular called on the actors to have maybe their shirt off, and they had to be super sculpted and really in shape and blah, 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 blah. And he says, he breaks down his workout, and it's similar to different things. A lot of these actors are working out twice a day, and they're getting their rest and nutrition. And, so of course, if I work out twice a day and I don't have to worry about anything but my movie lines and anything like that, you're going to look amazing.
Yeah.
But he mentioned that in every workout he does, he incorporates this sled in the workout every day. And I thought, that's interesting. I've done CrossFit. I've done weight training. I messed around with this a little bit in high school for fun, one day, this or that, once a week or something. But I didn't have one available to me. It was at our gym in the high school. So we purchased it. It was $180. I had like a $50 Amazon credit, and so it was like $130. And I love it. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I highly recommend it. The results have been great as far as working out, adding a dimension to fitness. As far as weight loss and sculpting your body and all that stuff, it's probably the fastest results I've ever seen from anything other than becoming a vegan. As far as weight loss, and when I became a vegan, I didn't have to work out as much. Gained a little weight, married and all that stuff, but it's definitely a great utility to have to add to everyday workout, and kind of fun. It's a little fun. Me and my wife, what we do is we'll take turns. So she'll go 3 rounds, she'll push it, and then I'll push it 3 rounds. So like I'm constantly trying to go faster, so her break is shorter. They're kind of fun.
So, and where do you actually do this sled training? Because you live in an apartment.
Yeah, so all the gyms are closed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do our laundry at my parents'. They live 15 minutes from us, and they have a big backyard. And so we've been doing it in the dirt there. So
okay,
yeah,
okay, yeah, because that's the only thing that I would see a problem is like you would need to get that sled somewhere that you can actually have some room to run.
You can do it in a park on the grass. They have more,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I have a park nearby. That kind of workout really appeals to me. I saw it, and I really like that type of thing where you're moving. I actually never thought about that, just moving weights from one place to the other. Yeah. Well, I've never thought about it in that sense, but one of the best workouts that I used to do way back when, that I got like really good results when I was in high school, was that my dad. I went through high school like I think any kid in high school, you go through this like weightlifting phase.
Yeah.
And I had a friend whose family was really wealthy, and they lived like in a mansion, and they had their own gym, and it was a big gym. And we would go there, and I used that for a long time. But then I got really bored of doing, as I always do. Every time I go to a gym, I eventually get really bored. But my dad, so I talked about my dad knew that I was doing the whole, exercising phase, weightlifting phase, and he's like, you know what the best? He tells me, you know what the best workout is gonna be, or can be for you? I have he had at the time he was doing construction. It's like I have 100 cement bricks in the backyard. Every day, get those 100 cements and move them from where they are all the to all the, and they were like on one side of the backyard. And he told me move them to the other side, all the way to the other side, the 100 cements. And that was like the best workout ever, because not only did I get like massive, crazy good workout, but it was actually fun because you're kind of like
racing,
putting
almost.
Legos together. There's like a progress. You're moving. There's like an end goal.
Yeah.
When I work out, one of the things that I feel when I'm working out at a gym is like, when should I end? Like, when should I stop? I don't know. I'm gonna do 30. Okay, I'll do 3 repetitions of this thing, but I don't feel like I accomplished anything.
Yeah.
So that kind of reminds me of that whole sled training reminds me of like a cleaner way of doing that.
Yeah. The only thing is you'll need weights to put on it. Like you'll need Olympic weights typically, and they'll slide it into the slots. And so if you don't have Olympic weights, you could purchase them, or I guess there's other things you could add onto it. But I'm just thinking about the park there. If you did it at your park, it would be pretty crazy. Like I was thinking, just one loop around the park, you'd be like sweating. It's a workout.
We have in that park. We also have a baseball field that it goes unused for the most part. So I was thinking of just doing it in that baseball field.
Yeah,
just going from like side to side as opposed to going around.
The sled itself, it's fairly heavy, so just pushing that alone probably wouldn't get you like a lot. But if you added weights to it, like I said, it is a workout. And then after my wife and I do those reps with it, we'll then do our weight training and stuff. But by the time we do our weight training, we're like, I'm exhausted.
Okay. Yeah. Jasmine's parents just gave me a set of weights.
Okay.
That they had extra in their that they found just laying around in their house. They have a really old San Francisco house where there's a lot of treasure. It's a lot of treasure underneath a lot of things that they have.
Well, that's it. That's all I have.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have too. So this is a pretty compact episode of Tea Talk, but I actually like it like that. Respect our audience's time. We're only gonna give you the good stuff from now on. We're not gonna be making stuff up in the air, Just gonna give you the good stuff. Okay. So that's all you said? That's all you have to say, Sean?
That's
is there
all.
anything else you want to add?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wish our listeners well.
Yep. And then for Yudi from Yudi, is that I'm pronouncing that? Judy. I don't know. Judy from YouTube. We'll get back to you on our next episode about unusual Cali art. Yeah. So I actually do have an unusual or strange Californian art in my neighborhood that some people made professionally in the side of a house. So someone actually got paid to do that. So, and it was actually pretty interesting. So I might take a picture of that, maybe put it in on YouTube or something.
Yeah,
we'll see how I work with that. Okay. Well, everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in once again and listening to Sean and I talk a little bit about the things that we're thinking about and the things that we're doing. We hope you enjoy the show. See you next time. Listen to some end credits. TEA Talk is a product of TEA Talk Productions. If you like what you heard, please consider supporting the show on patreon.com. Link is in the description below. For questions, concerns, thoughts, and ideas, please email us at ttalkproductions@gmail.com or use the message system on Patreon. We're available on Apple Podcast, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Patreon. More services coming soon.
Let me get on the headspace, bro. Let me get on the headspace. Headspace. Head in the space. Stop recording.
We're sad.